Hi everyone, I'm Brad from Boxes.net. How many times a week do you lose your Apple TV remote? Every day I read a tweet from someone on Twitter that has lost their Apple TV remote and they are really distraught about it. I lose my Apple TV remote at least once a week. Usually we find it tucked away in the cushions of a couch or hidden underneath the coffee table, but this last week it was really lost. We looked for hours and finally found it hidden in the bottom of my son's Lego bin. It could have been lost in there for days, so I started thinking about a way that I could modify the Apple TV remote so that I would not ever lose it again. What I would like to share with you in this video is how to attach a Bluetooth tracker to your Apple TV remote so that you will never lose it again. The first choice you'll have to make is what Bluetooth tracker you're going to pick. I picked two different Bluetooth trackers to test, the ProTag Duet and the Tile. I was initially excited about the ProTag Duet because of its small size and because it has a replaceable battery. But after testing the ProTag Duet, I discovered that it needed a constant Bluetooth connection, and that works great if it's attached to a pair of keys or inside of your wallet, but not so good if it's attached to an Apple TV remote that's not always with you. So the ProTag Duet does not work. The Tile, on the other hand, is 50% larger than the Duet, and it does not have a replaceable battery. The manufacturer states that the battery inside the Tile will last a year, and so that guarantees that I will not lose my Apple TV remote for one entire year, and that makes the Tile very well worth the money. It's also $10 cheaper than the ProTag Duet. Now, whenever I was researching the prospect of attaching a Bluetooth tracker to my Apple TV remote, I discovered that the entire lower half of the Apple TV remote is completely empty. There's no electronics down here beyond the battery compartment. And so I realized that I could drill a small hole into my Apple TV remote and then attach the Tile with a little keychain lanyard here that would just kind of hang off of the Apple TV remote. And so what I'd like to show you is step by step how to go about attaching the Tile to your Apple TV remote. You're going to have to drill a hole into your Apple TV remote. And so you need a way to mark where you're going to place that hole. You will need a small metric ruler and your Apple TV remote. The Apple TV remote is exactly 30 millimeters wide. And so what you'll do is measure 15 millimeters from one side using your metric ruler, and then just place a little mark where you're going to put your hole. You can see in the very bottom of the remote, I've put a little X where I'm going to drill my hole. So we're not ready to drill our Apple TV remote just yet. If we started trying to drill right now, the drill bit would wander all over the remote and scratch it all up and make it not look very nice. And so what we want to do is put a small dimple in the middle of our X so that the drill bit will be centered and will not wander all over the Apple TV remote. I have a tool here that does that job really well. This is a center punch, and basically it's spring-loaded, so the way it works is that you just push it with a lot of force, and it will place a small dimple wherever the point is located. You could easily do this with a little nail and a tack hammer. Just make sure you center the nail and tap the nail, and it would put a little dimple there that will make sure that the drill bit does not wander. Got it? Alright, now that we have punched our dimple, we are ready to drill our hole. I have my drill here ready to go with a 1/16 inch drill bit inside. Now, you need to make sure that the drill bit that you're using is appropriate for the material you're going to drill in. The Apple TV remote is made out of aluminum, so if you're using a wood drill bit, that might not work that well with this Apple TV remote. In fact, you could end up damaging your drill bit or the Apple TV remote if you're not using the appropriate one. So this is a drill bit that should work good with our aluminum Apple TV remote. So I got my hole drilled, and I want to demonstrate for you how I did that. I laid the Apple TV remote on the edge of the table like this, which allowed me to actually drill in from the side. I got my wife to come help me out as well. She took her hand and put it on top of the Apple TV remote like that and held it down while I drilled the hole. Okay, for our next step, we are going to need to install a little tiny screw eye into the bottom of our Apple TV remote where we put our hole. Now when you go to the hardware store to buy a screw eye, you're going to have two different options. a zinc-coated screw eye or a stainless steel screw eye. Now the stainless steel screw eye is solid stainless steel and it's never going to rust. This thing is going to be in your hand. It's going to get wet possibly. So you do not want a screw eye that's going to rust on you. And that's exactly what happened with the zinc coated one. The zinc coating would wear off and then eventually you would have this rusty little screw eye on the bottom of your Apple TV remote. So it's really important that when you buy the screw eye that you get a stainless steel screw eye. Here's our final product, the Apple TV remote with the Tile Bluetooth tracker physically attached to it. Guaranteed, if this remote were to be lost, I would be able to find it. Let's see where my kids try and hide it this time. For more information or questions about the materials used for this project, please visit InternetTVBoxes.net.